Today, welcome back to the Guam Guy Show. It's been a while. I'm joined with Tewid. I'm going to try to say your name. Please just destroy me if I destroy your name. No, Meresbang.
Meresbang, yeah.
Meresbang? Okay, so I over-enunciated.
No, you actually said it perfectly.
Really?
Yeah, Meresbang, Palawan, and then Meresbang is just kind of make it a lot easier for everybody.
Okay, that's cool. Okay, so you're Palawan.
Yes. Yeah,
is that were you raised there or here or mixed or?
Yeah, born and raised here. Left to the state for a few years and then came back.
Okay, which state?
I was in California, Alaska, Maine, St. Louis, just a little bit of everywhere.
Okay, yeah. I don't know how many people know this, but when I graduated high school, I actually moved to Northern California for a few years too.
Oh, okay.
Whole family moved out there after a few years. Wasn't for me. I came back home by myself. I miss Guam too much.
Same, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so you actually asked me to come on the podcast and talk about, I don't know if it's one or two things, or I guess it's two things, but one is couched within the other, and it's Pacific Nesian equities.
Yes, that's right.
And a law you actually got passed.
Yes.
And so that definitely caught my attention. So I've never got a law passed on anything. So that's definitely something to celebrate, Viva.
Thank you.
I guess we'll let you lead. Where do you want to go first?
Well, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to tell us our story. One is that we passed a bill, and when I say we, it's a community effort. Folks from Micronesia Climate Change Alliance, folks from Guam Sustainable Culture, folks from different parts of the for the Guam, all helped contributed. And, just random friends like Tori Manley, Michelle Crisostomo, Maria Hernandez, Joshua Lorente, Miracle Mogul. I can keep going.
I'm hearing a lot of the usual suspects.
Yeah. And I would love to keep going on, but the list is long. It's a community effort. So it's a bill that's focused on empowering it and providing equity for the community. There's this thing called economic democracy.
Let's pause for a second already. What does equity mean? I have this idea that to me it sounds like Shark Tank, and they want a certain amount of the business or something.
Yeah,
so or stocks, or what is equity?
Yeah. So you said it kind of the same, similar, where instead of sharks having a stake at the company or the business, it's stakeholders that are vital to the community. Stakeholders like the workers. So workers have equity, and meaning that they have ownership and control. So the main focus is democratic ownership and democratic control of the enterprise. So that's what equity is.
Okay.
Or at least that's the focus.
So it is like Shark Tank, except for like a 1, 2, 3, 4 owners. It's kind of distributed. Ownership is distributed across, I guess, in this model, what we're about to get into, employees and other stakeholders. Yeah. Okay. So you're going to ask me if I've heard of something. What was that?
Economic democracy.
Okay. I've never heard those two words put together. So lay it on me.
So I'm glad you don't know, because a lot of people don't know, and if they don't, they probably have a sense of idea of what it is. So economic democracy is essentially bringing more people to the decision-making table so that they can collectively decide how to use land, labor, and capital to benefit all. So we have right now, land, labor, and capital is often used, exploited, and extracted for just one or two or few people, rather than something that benefits us all. So economic democracy says, why do we have all these resources that like land, water, minerals? These all belong to Earth, and it belongs to all of us. Why don't we have a say in what happens to all these things and how it benefits us? So economic democracy essentially is, how do we bring more people to the decision-making table so that they can use land and labor in a democratic way to benefit us all? And so that's the gist of it. But when it comes to a micro level, we want to focus on business enterprises, because that's what predominantly dominates the rest of all of our lives. Like, for example, ExxonMobil extracts a large amount of minerals, fossil fuels from the earth. and it affects our lives, it affects our environment, it affects how we live, it affects our economic outcomes, but we don't really have a say in what happens to that and how it benefits us all. That's kind of the main gist of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so economic democracy, was it?
Yeah, economic democracy.
You say E, I say A, okay.
Tomato, tomato.
Potato, potato.
Yeah.
Right,
Oh, yeah. Different
one of those is
variations.
clearly wrong if you don't get the joke. But not economics or economics, okay.
Yeah.
So maybe just a little bit of pushback here. So like the usual method or usual model, and maybe we'll go into this, is you have your business owner, they hire managers, and they dictate, right, like top down and so on. But I'd say you could put forward an easy argument, and it's been working for at least centuries, right? That, well, you hire people, and that they have an income and they can take that home to feed their families, or maybe they get another job to to actually like be able to feed their families. I've worked multiple jobs simultaneously before, and so I know that hard life. But at the end of the day, I'm not. It's still a viable option, maybe less and less as time goes by. But that said, the business people would say, well, if they can always leave and they can always find something better, right? And so how is that not true, or what's missing in this?
That's that's a very good point that you bring up. And what we're saying is there's right now businesses, that type of business model dominates how our economy runs.
Absolutely.
And it often focuses on extraction and exploitation. But what we see in studies is when you have businesses that are worker-owned and worker-controlled, you have higher job retention rate. You have a higher ability to go through a crisis. You're a lot more resilient. You often reduce, reuse, recycle, and they often operate in a way that is business-friendly, environmentally sustainable. They pay their fair share of taxes. So when we look at that type of economic model, and we realize that there's different types of business models, and there's different goals. Right, and so what we're looking for is what's the type of business model that is focused on community, and it has these particular positive impacts for community, and so if we want to build a stronger and resilient economy and community, we want to focus on those type of business models that studies show have those sort of impact. And it's also a choice. It's an option. Just like there's LLC, there's corporations. As corporations, we want to introduce a different business model that has statistically shown to outperform. So they actually have
okay, just take a second, take a breath.
And I think we're
so we are going. There's just that we can instantly. I feel like a spider on the web. In our cultures, if you're not familiar with this, it's hard for us to kind of nail down into one thing a lot of the time because we have I guess what would be called a high context culture, where there is like so much things happening and it's hard to think of any one thing in isolation of the other. And so if you see us like trying to, running past all these rabbit holes, don't mind. I'll do my best to kind of hold you to some things just so there's more clear understanding. But I am with you. I'm mostly tracking. Where do we? Let's pick something and go with that.
What I could do is because we talked about economic democracy, but how do we get there? Studies show that there's this economic democracy index model. This economic democracy index model shows that there's certain countries that rank really high in this economic democracy index model. And they've looked at it. It's a study called New Meaning of Economic Democracy, and it was published by University of Glasgow. And so they looked at it and say, why do these countries rank so high in this economic democracy index model? And why when they rank high in this economic democracy index model, they have reduction in poverty and they have reduction in income inequality? And they looked at it because their economy is a lot more democratic. They have a lot of features such as unions, worker protection, democratic governance, and certain business enterprises that are called cooperatives. These cooperatives are worker-owned and worker-controlled, or they have huge ability to have the workers make those sort of decisions for themselves, or they incorporate decisions from the workers. But they often see that these particular business enterprises dominate the economy, worker cooperatives. And so here in Guam, the bill that we focused on is a bill that allows makes it legal for businesses to form as a cooperative.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to go there just yet. I still think we're building our foundation here.
Okay.
Well, my foundation anyway. So I'll tell you, I've had a bunch of jobs right over the years.
Yeah.
Some places I was very happy to work at. Some places I was not happy to work at all. I'm sure we've all had a job or two like that.
I have too. Yeah.
And so, I found like the quality of my work could contribute to how much I was getting paid and how I felt like I was getting treated. And if you're paying me $7.50 an hour, right? Let's say I won't be maybe quite as motivated to do the best job I could. I'll be motivated to not lose my job if that's all I got, but I'm not going to be motivated to do the best job I could. And I'll tell you, I can do some pretty good work when I'm motivated. And so if I'm understanding this right, and if I had some percentage, me and all my coworkers and managers, we had all some percentage of ownership of the business, I would want to make sure not a single napkin goes to waste. Right, I want to make sure everything's working in peak condition, and we're having well maintained. We're presenting ourselves, both those employees and the business, as good as possible. And so it sounds very happy, sounds very hippie, and like and it sounds so amazing. So why hasn't this taken off? Like, what's been the holdup?
Yeah, no, great question. But you mentioned, but before I answer that, you mentioned that when you have a stake in the business, you feel empowered to make the decisions.
Yes,
you're in control. And reason why they often operate in a manner that's environmentally friendly, sustainable, and they reduce, reuse, recycle. Studies show that they often reduce, reuse, recycle. Is if I'm working at a business, I'm a lot more conscientious of the waste that I'm generating. Because if I have to get off work and then I go down, drive down south, and you hear all the activity that's happening at the landfill, and you see the smell. I mean, you can smell the odor. You're gonna wonder, what can I do at my business so that I'm generating less waste and reducing and reusing and recycling. To answer your question. The reason why it hasn't really gained traction in Guam is because people don't know about it. Not a lot of people know about it. The education system doesn't teach you about it.
No.
There's a lot of universities in the States that are putting cooperatives into their program because it shows that it's a sustainable alternative business model. But one other thing is there's no legal infrastructure here on Guam. When in fact, any business can form as a cooperative if you draft your articles of organization in a way that has democratic governance and democratic elements. But if you don't have the legal infrastructure, it's very expensive. And attorneys here on Guam are not familiar with writing that sort of language, and so it's going to be even more expensive. So Pacific Equity is actually structured as a benefit cooperative. Before the bill came out, we had to find an attorney here on Guam that was familiar with it, with cooperatives.
Do you want to shout him out, or do you want to stay quiet?
Eventually, Levin Camacho Titano's a firm.
I knew it.
Yeah. Yeah, they ended up helping us. But that was after we reached out to the Colorado state, which is a leader in cooperatives. They're a state and leader in cooperatives, so the attorneys there were able to help us, but we had to pay them. And then we had to bring it over. Then we had to give that document over to Camacho Titano, and then they had to draft it. So it's very expensive. There's no legal infrastructure in place.
Where'd you get the money to pay the lawyers in Colorado? If you don't mind me asking that.
Yeah, so Micronesia Climate Change Alliance, nonprofit organization, were able to help us fund that, and through some personal investments as well. But MCCA did play a huge role in paying for that expense. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, shout out to Levin. Went through him for a couple things actually. When we started, if you're familiar with my work, we started something called the Guam Extreme Cleanup Crew. Thanks.
Yes.
And I mostly kept it to my friends and just people I know and trust. Mostly my students actually, since I already know how they act in potentially life-threatening situations. And so when people are asking me to open it to the public and get more volunteers, I'm like, all right, I need a solid liability waiver for this. And he helped me out. That was cool. I had an issue with a piece of land that I owned. Went to him again, and it was cheaper than other firms that quoted me. So yeah, shout out to Camacho Taitano Firm. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Okay, Camacho Taitano Firm. So thanks. Yeah. Okay, so now you have the bill, which is now law.
Yes.
And I think you already kind of summarized it. Anything else you want to kind of say about it?
No. So again, it allows workers to come together. The bill now gives an opportunity for workers to come together and form what you call a limited cooperative association. So actually, the bill is called Guam Uniform Limited Cooperative Association.
All right, we got to take a step back already. Sorry. So you said it allows workers to come together.
Yep.
Is this workers of existing businesses or businesses to be, or how does that work?
Yeah, great question, and I love these questions. So it allows, I would say it allows anybody, but particularly allows the workers to, or folks to come together and form a limited cooperative association, whether they're the workers, the existing workers, or they want to start a business. So for example, if this business is up for sale, the workers can come together and they can say, we're interested in buying this business. Let's form the LCA, become members of that LCA.
What's an LCA?
So the LCA,
limited cooperative.
Yep, limited. It's a particular type of cooperative, and it's a limited cooperative association. Yep. So it's just an LCA association, limited cooperative association.
Okay.
And so the workers of this restaurant can come together, form an LCA, just like there's an LLC S corp.
Let me give you an example. There's no Ritz-Carlton hotel on Guam, right? But let's say there's a Ritz-Carlton hotel on Guam and they've been open for 30 years.
Yep.
And the employees there are interested.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
So what happens is just like if there's anybody that wants to buy the business, you either have to be a sole proprietor, LLC, or you can be now an LCA. So the workers come together and they say, we are interested in buying this Ritz-Carlton hotel. So
so there's no hostile takeover. It's okay. All right. So don't be scared, guys.
No hostile takeover.
I'm like, guys, are we okay? It's like
they come out with a pitch and fork, and they.
I'm like, this sounds great, but
instead of pitch and forks, they come out with pens.
Okay.
And they form an LCA, and they become members of that LCA. Just like LLCs form, and they can have numerous members of that LLC. The LCA allows workers to become members of that LCA, and they democratically own and they democratically control. So in a sense, they become members of the LCA. They buy out the hotel, and then they can manage it however they want to manage it. It can be manager managed or member managed. But oftentimes, corporations, big companies like a hotel like that, it would be a manager managed.
Okay, well, it sounds so simple when you put it like that. Yeah. So let's get all my karaoke after work buddies together, and we'll buy the hotel. So now it feels like there's a potential couple pitfalls in there. Like, where does that money come from, right?
Yeah.
So I'm guessing. Yeah. You need investors, right?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So once you have investors. Now, how does that work? Does it just become, just changing the devil you know for the devil you don't? Like they don't have control? Yeah. And what is that relationship like?
So, man, these are all good questions. I love them. And so this particular bill, it allows investors to come on board. So
it's in the bill?
Yeah, it's in the bill.
I called it.
Yeah.
It's in the law. It's in the law now.
So there's language in there.
Okay.
The Limited Cooperative Association came to be because traditional cooperatives, okay, you have workers have equal ownership and you have equal say in how the business is run. But they realized that they need funding. They need investors, but they also don't want the investors taking over the business. Then it doesn't become worker-owned.
Yeah.
It becomes investor-owned or 50, 60% investor-owned. And we know that what that happens is you're going to need to operate the business in a way that brings in enough return or plenty of return for the investors. The investors are looking for a high return on investment. And that's very fair, right? When you're putting a lot of capital, you want to make sure you're bringing in and a little bit more.
Yeah, of course.
So with a limited cooperative association, it focuses on attracting investors, not for large return on investment, but because they realize the potential of cooperatives. So there are investors out there that are focused on an equitable economy, an economy that works for all and is sustainable, but and it produces results that is focused on building community, making it stronger and resilient. And so the investor comes in, they don't become a equal member, but they do have to receive that particular return on their investment. So they're investing not for ownership, but they're investing for building community, building a business, and for that return on investment. They will have the Limited Cooperative Association allows you to write the bill in a different kind of way. So you can give them, investors could have some sort of voting power, but instead of one voting power, it could be half of voting power. So it would never, but in the rule, in the law, it does say a majority of control and ownership will never be investors. It'll always be the workers. Workers will always maintain majority ownership and control.
Okay, so, and if I'm a part business owner, I want to make sure that we're meeting our obligations and everybody's still getting paid as well as they can. But, I guess there's another potential pitfall here. If one of the ancient Greeks, I don't know if it was Socrates, Plato, or Aristotle, remember what he said about democracy?
Yeah, one of those. I'm not sure. But
he said democracy is a rule of the rabble, right? And so you can have very charismatic people, charismatic individuals basically lie to everyone, misguide them down this path for their own benefit. And I'm not going to get into politics, but there's some easy things to see in today's world.
Yeah, very easy.
And so, but we're going to stay on that. Okay. And so, how if it's ideally everybody would be motivated to really learn, right? And make the best decisions possible, but we also get lazy. I'll be honest, I get lazy when it's election year. I just message a couple of friends, who am I voting for senator, right? Because I trust them to have done that work for me.
Understandable.
So if we're going to be totally honest, is it possible that a democratically run cooperative could crash itself into the ground, even understanding that statistics say that doesn't happen, or it happens in limited numbers, or how does that balance work out?
Again, good question. So the just like big businesses fail, just like other
True. Okay, next.
Right? Yeah. Just like
I said we were going to go into the politics, but remember the bailouts?
bailouts and all. I mean, just like big businesses, small businesses, and traditional business fail, cooperatives do fail.
Okay.
But we do know studies show that 90% of them.
90?
Yeah, 90% of
90?
them. Yeah, 90% of them.
Don't half of restaurants fail?
Yeah, there's
some crazy number like that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
There's an 80 to 90% success rate over the course of 5 years, as compared to traditional businesses.
Okay.
So that we know, according to studies. And so, but if a business is concerned about corruption or fraud or manipulation, then cooperatives is actually the best type of enterprise where you want to form to highly reduce that sort of stuff from happening. Can it stand? Can it happen? And it does happen. I mean, look at our democratic government.
10% of the time, right? Or at least with the businesses, yeah.
Well, I mean, just look at our government, the U.S. government. We're a democratic government, but I mean, look at all the faults it has. So, just like there's problems with other businesses and democratic governance, cooperatives do face those challenges. But that's why the articles of organization are written in a way that members have equal voting power. It states that you have certain minutes. Then you have certain stipulations that says certain things can and can't be done by members. And at the end of the day, it's all...
Sorry, is member and owner the same thing in this? Or equity holder?
Yeah. So
those are the same thing? Okay.
Yeah, so member and owner are the same.
Okay.
The members are the owners, and the owners are the members. But they can delegate, they can vote on who is the CEO, who's the treasurer, who's the secretary. They can make those sort of decisions, and how long, and what kind of requirements. There's a cooperative in Spain called Mondragon. It's a huge cooperative.
Say it again?
Mondragon, yeah.
Okay,
Mondragon.
It sounded like you're talking about the one from Breaking Bad, right? Remember that one?
Okay, yeah.
Madrigal?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or no, that was Germany, though. Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm like, you gotta say that again.
Right, yeah. There's similarities in the name, but Mondragon is a cooperative in Spain. It's a huge cooperative. It's been around for thousands of years, hundreds of years, and it was actually formed by priests coming together and forming a cooperative. And so they all have equal voting power. And so what they do is they vote on their CEO. The CEO, and they've decided that the CEO doesn't get paid more than 7 times than the average worker. So So the beautiful thing is the workers make those sort of decisions. But they realize that there could be with cooperatives and how you write it. They realize that there could be issues down the road where there's fraud or corruption or those sort of things. So that you can place additional mechanisms on how often you meet, when do you meet, quarterly reports, transparency reports. So you can actually, the articles of organization for a cooperative is you can adjust it to cater those particular needs.
Okay.
But, yeah, good question. Those questions are definitely needed and required.
No, because all right. So I guess the most obvious question, if people are watching, listening, is have you had a first example yet on Guam, or
we don't
first
yet.
early adopter?
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet.
But
Okay.
But we are looking. So we are looking, and we're still in the awareness campaign. Right now, this year, we're devoting our efforts to the awareness campaign. So we're focusing on developing a partnership with the Small Business Development Center, with the University of Guam School of Business. And so we're kind of still working on that. We're in the meeting phase with SBDC, but the UOG School of Business, we're kind of still working that angle.
Sorry, SBDC?
Yep, Small Business Development Center.
Okay, and that's at UOG?
Yep.
Within the School of Business program?
Okay. That's correct, yeah. Not within the program, but within the building.
Within the building,
yeah.
Okay. So, I don't know, I just had an idea, and tell me if it's dumb, but
I love ideas.
I wonder if this has come to mind. So if you're looking for a first adopter, maybe there's a business owner out there, maybe they're getting ready to retire, and they're already well off.
Yeah.
Just be like, hey, what do you think about this? Make it on a loan to your employees, let them own it, and you get to continue receiving whatever funding they generate as a business employee. Is that an idea that's crossed your mind yet, or is that a good idea?
No, that is a fantastic idea.
Okay.
And it's just crazy how you bring up all these questions and these ideas that movements are actually focused on these. So, for example, in California, in Colorado, and Washington State, but I'll mention Washington State. Washington State created this the ownership, employee ownership program. So, the employee ownership program. Actually, no, I'll go back to California. So, California, there's a study called It revolves around the silver tsunami crisis. Have you heard about the silver tsunami crisis?
No.
So there's this crisis called the silver tsunami crisis, and they realized that the boomer generation, as they're retiring, particularly business owners, the boomer generation, a baby boomer generation that's retiring out of business, there's this crisis. And so I can't remember the studies on it, but I think like 75 to 85% of businesses that are being sold, there's no transition. There's no transition plan. And so oftentimes they close it or it gets sold to a foreign investor that's not within the community. So there's this huge challenge as baby boomers.
Sorry, foreign like other countries or
Yeah,
just
other countries, yeah.
Oh wow,
Yeah, other
whole
countries, yeah.
entirely foreign.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
foreign
not just
investor,
someone from out of town. Okay.
Yep. So, so there's factors of foreign, out of country, but then there's also out of town, and then, or big businesses, and so they have to face those sort of challenges, but a lot of it does get closed because there's just no transition plan. So California has realized that there's this crisis that's happening. They've called it the silver tsunami crisis. And so what they've developed in their state.
Why silver?
Yeah, baby boomers, gray hair, silver hair.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Another good question. Yeah.
I didn't hear anything about silver. I remember the gold rush, but like
silver. What is the silver. The running out of silver, or yeah.
Like I don't even hear about silver even in movies, except for like The Last Kingdom. If you haven't seen it on Netflix, awesome. Okay, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think we'll watch that now. But yeah, there's silver tsunami crisis. So what they've done is they put a lot of efforts into their cooperative program. So there's actually a cooperative division within the governor's economic development authority or association or agency.
Okay.
And so any business that is up for sale and workers are interested in buying the business, there's a program that supports that funding program, training program.
Wait, this is huge. You're saying it very plainly, but
It's actually huge. It's a huge program because there's a problem, and California is supporting it through a cooperative program.
Okay, so I'm going to repeat some of what you said, I think. Or I'm going to try. So if a business is going on sale in California, through policy or legislation, if people want to cooperatively buy that business, the government will help.
Yes, there's a particular program for that,
Oh my God.
Yeah. And Colorado's doing it, and Washington State, they passed a bill, and it's called the ownership program, the employee ownership program. And unfortunately, they passed it in 2022, but unfortunately, 2023. But unfortunately, they appealed. Some senator repealed it, and so missed the vote. But when it was pushed through, it was exactly the same type of program, where any business that is up for sale and the workers are interested, there's a program that helps with training and funding.
Have you talked to Gita?
Yeah, not yet, but we do have. We're still in
the Guam Economic Development.
Yes,
a authority agency, whichever. Okay.
Yeah, we have some connections there. In fact, they're the ones who provided a strong testimony for cooperatives.
Okay.
Yeah, we were very happy about that when we saw the testimony. It was a nice written testimony, and we're just like, wow, this is great coming from Gita.
Yeah, because we keep talking about like at least in like some of the conferences and so on, like circular economy and working to for the benefit of all on the island and so on. It all sounds really great, but like sometimes the cynic in me is like, all right, where's the money coming from? Where's the money going? Because it's money makes the world go round, right? You gotta keep the power on, gotta keep the mouths fed, right? And so. And if this is great, like, okay, who else is supporting you? And Gita is supporting it. That's
it's huge.
That's huge.
The potential is it's huge. Yeah.
Okay. Oh man. So I don't imagine you can share anyone else you're talking to about converting their business or there's probably a better word for that, but you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. Is there anybody you're talking to that you could share or not quite yet?
Well, I know there's a couple businesses out there, but I'm not.
Or is all your work just been on this law and the developing so far?
Well, we have it's been the bill passing, getting it passed it took us almost 2 years to get it passed. We had
that's not bad.
Compared to some other bills. But again, it was a community effort. We do have some folks within the community that are interested. They were passionate enough to come out and support and do some legwork. And there are a couple. For one of them was a Namatlu Refillery. They were very interested in converting into a cooperative, but I think they had some challenges, so they weren't able to move forward. But I know there's another company, there's some friends within the cannabis community that are interested in forming a cooperative. There's some artists, folks from the artist community that are wanting to form a cooperative. But the cooperative is so powerful because, it's not just studies to show all these good things about high job retention rate, but you can use it in a way that reduces costs and expenses. So, for example, if artists want to come together from a cooperative, they can sell
artists.
The artists. Yep,
okay.
Artists. Yep. So if they want to sell their goods, they can come to a space, form that cooperative, and then they have an actual LCA that spells the democratic governance. But you also can have. And if you have an accountant friend, the accountant friend can be a cooperative, or the cooperative can generate enough money from all the members, artist members, and they can fund a accountant. They can centralize those overhead costs, centralize accounting costs, centralize taxing costs, payroll costs. Those are, and again, it goes back to helping reducing costs and expenses and stress.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a thought, but I lost it. Oh man, it was a good thought too. So
I bet it is. I bet it was. Now I'm wondering what was your thought.
If I get it back, I'll bring it up. So So you got the bill passed. It's now law. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
And what are you in what phase are you in now? What are you trying to do next?
So our main goal is to educate the public, and the more we educate the public about it, because it only takes 1 or 2 or 3 people to like the idea enough to compel them to spread the word, to take actions. There's so many actions we need to do. Actions are, work with Saipan to pass their bill. We'll partner up with a firm, a legal firm that can specialize in these cooperatives. There's also ongoing workshops that we're trying to do, and then there's also when a business is
workshops
what for? So monthly workshops is talking about the different types of LLCs, what LCAs are about, how to write your articles of organization, how to write your bylaws, and
how about something just like more basic? Because you started this what is this? And
right, and then just the idea of what cooperatives are and what they can be applied, how they can be applied in various situations, and how it can help our economy and our community.
Would you do workshops for potential investors? Because for me, it's it seems like you have a Venn diagram here. If one circle is investors and the other is philanthropists, and so how much more of one or the other are you kind of expecting out of people? This is why I went first to that, because seeing that philanthropy side of it, I could definitely see for example, I'm just going to shout out a business I really like. So Mosas, right?
I love Mosas.
They don't have service charge on their receipts, so that makes me want to tip more, right? And so I know there's a lot of love going on in there.
Yeah.
And so I could see many years from now, when Mosas, when Mo and Sarah are done, and they're like, you know what, I want you guys to have this.
Yeah.
But that would be philanthropic. That would be kind of just love for the people you've been working with, right? And just kind of working it out.
Yeah.
No pressure.
No pressure to the.
Oh Yeah. So I guess who are you looking for? Like, because are you looking for people that really will you take anyone's money? Are you looking for just like shrewd investors who are convinced by the numbers, because the numbers do sound convincing of the ones I've heard? Or are you looking more so for philanthropists who if you don't care about the mission, then we don't want you? Like, what are you looking for right now?
Well, as much as we want to look for anybody and everybody, and that's always an option, because because the article of organization, the LCA, is written in such a good way that it protects the workers. So but of course we want to focus on the investors that are conscientious and they care. They want to focus on sustainability. But in reality, you can have any investors. But since we have so many opportunities to focus on the right investors, there's actually
there's no timeline, huh? It's like there's no pressure here.
There's no pressure. There's no timeline, so we can take our time. But we do want to build that financing infrastructure, and we know that credit unions in the past have that sort of relationship with cooperatives, and so part of our strategy, our goal is to partner up with credit unions. And then there's also firms in the States like Project Equity, Shared Capital. These are all firms that focus on cooperatives. And so there is an industry and infrastructure that supports supports financing. So we do know we have that sort of option. But in terms of any investor, we would love any investor. We're aware that funding is important to a business, but we're also aware that the LCA is written strongly towards workers.
Because fundamentally, right? Let's just being real. It is about money. It's about it's about and not in a bad way, right? We got to feed our families, right? We need income, right? Unless we all want to go back to growing our own food, right? And that's awesome if you do, but it costs money if you need to go to the hospital. So there's still a lot of realities. But that said, bringing in the sustainability aspect and responsibility aspect, that's great. Now I got my idea back now, or like my thought back.
I'm excited to hear about it.
Did you mention something about the cannabis?
Yes.
What were you saying about cannabis?
So there's folks from the cannabis community who want to form actual cooperative.
What would you think if they could make their own version of like a bank or some kind of financial institution? Because it's still, they still can't take, I think they can't have bank accounts because it's federally insured and it's still a federal, still not federally okay to sell or buy cannabis, right?
That's my understanding,
And so I guess if they could pull together to make their own kind of version of a financial institution. I don't know where I'm going with this, but could your law be a mechanism for that? It could be. It would have to be a different thing. It would be like, okay, we'll have our cannabis stuff on one side, on the other we'll have the financial institution, so we can collect and self-insure our own money because the government will allow it, right?
I'm not entirely sure, but what we realize is that the LCA, this bill, applies to any industry. It applies to a hotel, a grocery store, an apartment building. Let's say an apartment building with 15 tenants or 10 tenants realize that the apartment is up for sale. Tenants can come together, form the LCA, become members of the LCA, and then they can find investors to fund, or they can apply grants from GURA. GURA's have several grants that they can apply for, and then buy out the apartment and democratically own, democratic control in a way that helps the members.
Okay. Yeah. So I think my idea with the cannabis industry and the various businesses is that since they haven't been able to, I think you said when we dropped off for a little bit, Bank of Guam is doing something unique for them. But if that doesn't work out, or if it isn't working out, you could they would have to be something else or add something or start something new. But like basically, if you can write it up as a business, an LCA can be run as an LCA.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if the cannabis industry wanted to start their own LCA and just say, hey, we don't like exactly how we're handling, our income. Maybe we can make our own version of a bank.
Yeah.
And protect our own money and so on. And so, okay, that's cool. That's interesting.
Yeah, the potential is there. Yeah.
So this is exciting. I really wonder who the first adopter would be, because that would be something you could brag about for forever.
Right,
like if it goes well, right? And it's just like, okay, yeah, we were the first one. We're an early adopter. Like I'm Guam's first local freediving instructor, and so I will have that the rest of my life, right? And so if that's gonna I got a legislative resolution presented to me a couple of years ago. That's on there.
That's awesome.
And so you could have that painted on your wall or whatever. Guam's first, especially if it takes off.
Yeah, get a certificate or whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's that's an idea.
I know in the military they have a plank owner certificate. So
what holder?
A plank owner certificate.
Plank owner.
Plank owner. Yeah.
What's a plank?
So in the Navy, I was in the Coast Guard.
Okay.
Retired Coast Guard, but they have when you start a new building or new office, you get a plank owner certificate. The idea is because when they were building these ships, I think this is only for maritime services, but when they were building ships, then you would get a plank. You would get a plank of the ship and engraved with your name, because you're the first. You're the first to be on board.
Oh.
So yeah, you get a plank owner certificate. Mm-hmm. But that could be an option.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's always, I never go to these things, but like I always hear about, there's some annual kind of events of like types of business owners and so on.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think any of them might kind of bite at this, or do you think we're kind of stuck in our own kind of mode, like, and I'm not being critical here. It's just a fact of, I guess, life, that there's a lot of inertia in everything, right?
Yeah.
Some people will stay in bad jobs just because it's the easiest thing to do, even if there's other opportunities available.
Yeah.
So have you seen this kind of started anywhere else and seen their timeline, and you might have some kind of hopes of how our timeline would progress?
Yeah, well, we know that cooperatives there's a cooperative movement in the States, globally, in Europe. Cooperative is actually, this year is the UN International Year of Cooperatives.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think last time it was probably almost 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so, this UN has dedicated this year for the Year of the Cooperatives. And that's just how important it is. In British Columbia and Canada and various parts of Canada, there's a movement towards cooperativizing housing. Cooperative housing is a...
Listen.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Cooperative housing is a sustainable solution for the housing crisis. When tenants own their housing situation, there's reduction in costs and reduction in there's unlikely rent increases. And so there's associations that they form cooperative housing associations, and then their goal is to acquire whenever there's an apartment or a building that is up for sale, they acquire those buildings. And once they do that, they've now taken it off the rent increasing real estate market. Well, as long as those real estate cooperative houses realize that when those real estate is up in the real estate market. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but
I mean, there definitely can be, like, we're seeing our prices go up here. We're seeing our rentals costs going up, and it just kills me because I feel like we're just. And I love all my friends in Hawaii, but it hurts to see how few Hawaiians are owning and having their own places especially on Oahu, and I feel like we're trending in that direction. And like, I think there was an article, I don't know if it was related to Guam or Oahu, it was called Priced Out of Paradise, something like that.
I've seen that. I can't remember if it was here or Guam, but the same story that's playing out in Guam, in Hawaii is playing out here. Yeah.
And so like if we, if the problem is, I don't want to say the problem, like there's just one problem, right? There's a whole economic factors, local, national, global, and so on. Jones Act, if you want to go deeper in the weeds and everything with how supply chains and everything moves around the world and to and out of Guam, mostly to Guam, obviously. With our situation, we make 10% of our own
tomorrow
food.
cookies, those are popular.
I love those. I can eat a whole bag in one sitting, but I don't anymore.
Same way, I don't anymore.
I used to. So I'd love to see that happen. I wonder when and how the first one is gonna go, because if there's a building and you have enough tenants there, and it's like, and the building is gonna go up for sale. Hey Gita, we'd like to buy our building.
Yep.
Right.
Gita, Gura, or whoever. Yeah.
Gura, or just like advise us through this. How is this gonna go?
Yeah.
But how often, or I guess could it be done? How do I say this? Let's say there's a building with 20 units and one is going on sale. Could those other 19 tenants buy that one unit in this model?
I would have to look at the. I mean, it sounds possible, right? As long as they can have ownership to the deed, the title. And spelled out title and deed,
Can an LCA have own things? Can it own a deed? Can it have
LLC,
deeds? Okay.
Yeah, just like an LLC can own deeds and titles and have real estate property under that entity. LCA can operate just exactly as LLC. The only real difference is LLC and LCA is just about the same. The only difference in the LCA is that it has democratic governance and democratic elements in the language.
Okay, so is there anything an LCA can't do that an LLC can?
To the best of my knowledge, no, I can't think of any at the moment. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. LLC, LCA.
Except for having a single owner. Okay, but that's the whole point, right? So, just for those cynical people that are, except for
right. For the ones who want to be single owners, you have other options: S corp, C corp, and LLCs. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Is there such a thing as a nonprofit LCA? Or are they by definition nonprofit? Or which is it?
Yeah. Nonprofit. There's for-profit and there's nonprofit. There's nonprofit cooperatives, and but traditionally cooperatives are not for-profit. Traditionally, they're not. But you have cooperatives that are making for-profit. But the wonderful thing is that for the profit, it gets reinvested into the business, or it gets reinvested into the employees as extra wages, extra health benefits, or dividends.
I think about wrapped up the show.
Okay,
Anything we didn't get to that you wanted to cover?
No, I think that was about it. Or actually, there is one thing. Is just there's a huge potential for providing, for empowering workers and making it equitable for workers. When workers have a better say and control in what happens to the enterprise, it's good for the economy, it's good for the community, and
it's good for your families.
It's good for the family, and everything that that the cooperative makes goes back to the business and the employees, and in turn goes back into the community.
Okay, so here's your chance, you guys. So if you and your coworkers are all like, man, my supervisor, or man, my manager, or man, our owners, we could do it better, blah, 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 this is your chance. If you're interested and you want to talk more, I guess whether you're just curious or if you're quite serious and you have some resources or friends you could potentially pull together and work with to make something like this happen. If you're maybe a small enough business, then that it's feasible for you to buy it out, not take over, but buy it out. Like, can people talk to you, or is there an office, or how do you want to shout out your socials and everything?
Yeah, thank you. We have a website called PacificNesianEquities.com, and then we also have an Instagram page, Pacific Nesian Equities, where you can connect us and ask any questions.
Cool. Thank you so much. That was another episode of The Guam Guy Show. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And keep your eyes and ears open. Or if you're interested, please reach out to Tewid here or Pacific Nesian Equities?
Yes.
Pacific Nesian Equities, excuse me. Okay. So thanks again, man. That was awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us. Appreciate it, brother.
All right.
Thank you.